So whoa. So the IEM this is homenaje del pueblo de Kanasin al profe Alfonso Palma Cadillo. Welcome to Kanasin, the home of panuchos. Okay, so this is my second time here in Kanasin. My first time was on a Sunday afternoon, so it was a little bit sleepy. And I'm here on a Saturday afternoon, and it is Mexican Independence Day weekend. So today is the 13th. In 3 days, it'll be the Independence Day, but in 2 days, so the 15th of September, we would have the El Grito. So that's why in many municipalities across Mexico, every government building, it could be state, federal, or municipal, every government building will be decorated. Yeah, so the city hall behind me, it is beautifully decorated, as well as the park. The park behind me as well, as you can see, the Mexican flags, beautifully decorated. All right, so what I'm gonna do will be the same thing that I always do when I go to a new city, which will be to get a motor taxi and then explore the city a little bit. So Kanasin is actually the second largest city in Yucatan, and it is just south of Merida. It's literally like in the southeast of Merida. So this is my second time coming here, and my first time actually exploring the city. Yeah, so it is a city actually, and Kanasin is actually way more than what people say it is. So I can see here it's very lively. I feel super safe. So Kanasin, a friend, it's not as safe as Merida, but this is my second time here and it looks safe, feels safe. Okay, so let me go find a motor taxi. First, I think I need to make some change because I only have like 500 pesos, 500 pesos. Nobody wants 500 pesos. So I'm gonna go to the store, get something, some snacks. Hopefully they'll give me change, hopefully. Welcome to Kanasin, Yucatan. So Kanasin is actually just in the southeast of Merida. Like you can walk from Merida to Kanasin because they both share a border. And Kanasin, it is in an industrial region of Merida, so many industries, factories, and job opportunities in that area. And yeah, and it is just in the southeast of Merida, Yucatan. Kanasin is actually known as the home of panuchos here in Yucatan. So I will just share a picture of what panuchos look like. So they look almost like tacos actually. So that is one thing that Kanasin prides itself of. But sadly, Merida, many Meridanos, they have a negative reputation of Kanasin. That Kanasin is very dangerous, probably the most dangerous municipality in the whole state of Yucatan, because they used to have issues with gangs and gang fights and conflicts. But today's Kanasin actually looks more tranquil, and they have a really heavy police presence. So this street you are looking at right now, this street actually takes you back to Merida. And when I was going back, it was during rush hour time, and by the time you know it, the police had shown up to direct traffic because there was a heavy traffic congestion. Also, as you can see in this video, Kanasin has pretty much everything that you need to live comfortably. They have pharmacies, they have major stores and businesses, banks, cemetery ground, meat shop, what else? Schools, obviously. And when I went on this particular day, they had a fair. So you and the family, the kids, everybody can go and have some fun in the evening. Now, a little bit of a backstory or history on Kanasin. So Kanasin as a city, it was established in 1921. So a little bit over 100 years ago. And according to this Wikipedia article, it's shown that Kanasin has a population of 139,000. But I actually believe it's way more than that because the census here, it says that it's from 2020, so 5 years ago. Right now, I'm sure it's probably over 150,000. And also because they have some new housing development in Kanasin, just a little bit north of the Kanasin area. One thing that surprised me when I hired the motor taxi was how big Kanasin actually is. I thought Kanasin is just a small city like the other villages here in Yucatan, but I was surprised. It was an eye-opener. I felt enlightened because the motor taxi driver took me to different neighborhoods, diverse neighborhoods, low-income neighborhoods, and middle-class neighborhoods. I'm not really sure where the upper class people live in Kanasin. I don't even know if they have the upper class in Kanasin. Maybe in the central area, but I'm not really sure where they would actually live. Maybe the motor taxi driver didn't take me there, but at least based on what I saw, it looked like a middle class to like lower income subdivision. So because Kanasin has a negative reputation, you know what that means when it comes to real estate? It means that real estate is more affordable in Kanasin than it is here in Merida, which is highly sought after. And I went on Facebook Marketplace to look up casas and renta. I didn't really see a lot. I didn't see a lot. Also, when I was going around, like when the motor taxi driver was driving me around, I didn't see a lot of signs outside for rent or for sale signs. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I saw any. So I don't know how people rent in Kanasin or how they purchase, maybe through word of mouth. But at least on Facebook Marketplace, when I went on Facebook Marketplace, it showed me a few 2 bedrooms and 1 bath mini house, a casita, for that we're renting for about 4,000 pesos per month. I also tried to look up some houses for sale in Kanasin, and I found a couple for less than 1 million Mexican pesos. So that's about 50,000 US. You know, the ones that I found. Now, one thing that I observed about Kanasin when I was just going around, one thing that I observed is that, number one, yeah, like I said, it looks very low income. And 2, they have a lot of street dogs. Many unhealthy looking street dogs. And during the ride, I saw a lady with a big pot feeding the street dogs. She had, there were about maybe 7 street dogs that came to her, and she was feeding them. So it is a sad reality. Now, street dogs and street cats are very common all over Mexico, but in Kanasin, I thought they were just excessive. Anyway, that was one thing that I observed. So Kanasin looks to me like the hood. It looks like the hood. So if this is like the kind of lifestyle you're looking for, something more local, grassroots, something more laid back where everyone is like open and friendly with one another, then you might enjoy living in Kanasin. And they have motor taxis everywhere, so getting around is so comfortable. Now, it might be loud because these motor taxis were like flies. They were like flies because they were everywhere. Like, I can imagine driving a car and you are trying to drive behind one of these. But at least the thing is, because they have so many of them, getting around will be such a breeze as opposed to taking the bus, right? I don't think they have any public buses that takes you within Kanasin. Now, they have buses that takes you, to and fro from Merida to Kanasin, or I guess Kanasin elsewhere. But within the city itself, I didn't see any taxis or buses or motor taxis. Like, a basic trip, 10 pesos or what not. So meaning that you only have to come out of your house and then flag down a motor taxi, and it takes you to wherever it is that you are going to. If you choose not to take the motor taxi and you want to ride a bike, that might even be much faster because at least it is your own transportation. You don't have to, wait on anybody. So Kanasin is one of those places whereby you have to go in person to check out the property before renting. You cannot rent sight unseen in Kanasin because, as you're looking right now in the video, some of the neighborhoods are okay. Some of the neighborhoods are low income. So if you're seeing a property that's like super cheap, it might be in a low income neighborhood, and low income neighborhood comes with low income neighbors, and the kind of issues that might arise. Now, here in Merida, they don't have a lot of restrictions on how like the state that your house must be in. So you could have a really beautiful house, you take care of your own house, but your neighbors next door, your neighbors across the street, they might choose not to weed their grass, they might choose not to take care of the home. They might throw trash everywhere, or they might accumulate stuff and just leave everything out on their driveway, and that could be a major eyesore. So, and that was one thing that I observed when when I was touring some of the neighborhoods in Kanasin. So Kanasin also has a reputation amongst its residents to be a municipality full of potholes. And we did experience that, but they weren't that bad though, because even in Merida, there are so many potholes, and the potholes are usually formed during the rainy season because they use very inferior quality products, and also the workers laying doing the job, like they don't do a good job. So when it rains, and everywhere is wet. So and so the heat and also the humidity that you get, as and then you add on the rain, it makes the road to create potholes, and then you have cars, trucks, all sorts driving on it. So during the rainy season, we have many potholes all over the city. So when I went to Kanasin and I saw a few potholes, to me, it wasn't that much of a big deal. And this particular road we are looking at, it looks very nice, not so much. So only a few of the streets had potholes. So it wasn't as bad, at least in my opinion. Okay, so in this neighborhood, right, I believe, in my opinion, it looks like a low income neighborhood. So each person, really what they do is they will just build their property up to their standard. So these are low income houses that were built by a housing developer. And so what you will now do will be to build out the facade of the house. So you could add a garage, an open garage, closed garage. Most people will add a closed garage, and they will add a gate, and they will paint it to whatever color that suits them, and which is what we are looking at right now. So meaning that you could have a very nice home, beautiful home that you've built up, but your neighbor next door, they might not have the refunds, they might not have the fund or the resources, or they might choose to spend that fund, the resources elsewhere that they feel is more important. So yeah, so let me know if Kanasin might be an option for you. So I actually know a few people who actually live in Kanasin. They live in Kanasin, they're okay with it, they're happy with it. Now walking at night, I'm not really sure. Walking at night, probably people who live in such neighborhoods, that's where they live, that's where they've been living for many years. So to them, they feel super safe because they know the people in the neighborhood, so they don't feel unsafe, right? But if you're not from those neighborhoods, then that's where you might need to be more alert. But then again, why would you want to go to Kanasin unless you are going to visit somebody? Unless you're going to visit somebody. So the motor taxi tour was maybe 30 minutes. I was quite surprised because I thought maybe within 10 minutes everything will be done. But even after 30 minutes, we only saw just a small portion of Kanasin. Now, it looked like they had a tianguis, so second-hand market going on at this particular park. So you can get clothing, shoes, some household items at affordable prices, very cheap prices. And I think it's just funny that these people are selling next to a police station, and they actually hung up their goods on the window of the police station. But this is Mexico. Welcome to Mexico. So as you can see, the Y event goes to Kanasin. So um there are some parts of Kanasin that I wouldn't mind living in. I wouldn't mind living in and just, yeah, living a few parts. Well, mostly the parts close to Central. Okay, so one good thing about Kanasin is that it is very close to the peripheral and another highway that takes you to Cancun, I believe. So it's very easy to go in and out of the city. And one thing that I found out about Kanasin in terms of, having industries is that they have many carpenters, carpentry businesses in Kanasin, because when I go on Facebook Marketplace, I see so many carpentry businesses located in Kanasin. And the carpenter who did my kitchen cabinet actually lives in Kanasin. So to me, I'm like, it looks like Kanasin has many carpenters, very good carpenters, and, affordable rates and such. So we can see this neighborhood looks like it's they are developing this neighborhood. It's not a new neighborhood, but it looks like they are developing it. And I believe in this video we're heading south. So as you can see here, I mean, this particular street looks like any other street in Merida. Well, particularly any other street in the south of Merida, because I frequent the south of Merida because I'm just a few blocks from where the south of Merida starts in my area. And I mean, I felt super tranquilo, super okay. And I asked the driver taking me around, like, what does he think about Kanasin and such? I was like, oh, it's cool, it's chill. And when I went to a particular chicken restaurant or place, a young girl about 16 years old, she came up to me when she saw me with my camera. She was like, what's your channel? I want to follow you. And I asked her, like, how long she's been living in Kanasin. She said she's been living in Kanasin her whole life, and she's happy there. I mean, she looked happy and excited. She was like, she loves Kanasin. It's super safe, it's super nice, super chill. So that's the thing about stereotypes. Like, a lot of people have stereotypes about Mexico being dangerous, but here we are. At least here I am living here, and I feel super safe, right? So it all depends on your perspective, and also, I guess, what you can handle. So in this area, we are definitely in the low income area. Probably these houses, when they were sold, they were probably sold for about 400,000 pesos, thereabouts. Because I remember, like, 3 years ago, such mini houses were going for about 400,000, less than 500,000, for such sized property. I've already said this, that I noticed that there were so many street dogs. The dogs might have owners, but they don't look healthy, and I think that might be the reason why that lady was feeding the street dogs. So as we can see, Kanasin has pretty much all the amenities you would see in any major city here in Mexico. And one other thing also that surprised me also was how was the abundance of these monotaxis. Because I'm like, these guys, like, how did they make money when there are so many of them all over the place? And I drove past one of the places that makes the shell for the passenger, like the passenger area, because the motorcycles themselves, I think they are shipped from like a different state in Mexico, but in Kanasin they make that, the canopy, the tent, like the metal area where the passengers actually sit, and they will color it to whatever color that you want. pink, green, black, purple, orange. They will color it to whatever, color that you think looks beautiful. So yeah, so I just wondering how these guys make money when there are hundreds and hundreds of them all over the place. So Kanasin, to me, it looks like a family friendly city, because I saw so many kids, so many young kids, so many families, and people of all ages, from seniors to babies, right? And we just saw those young boys walking by themselves on the street, and also that old man sitting in front of his house, right? So meaning that everything is good, everything is chill. I felt super safe. I definitely will go back to Kanasin just to explore it a little bit more. Maybe check out some of the restaurants, some of the shops and establishments. I'm gonna go on a weekday for sure, because my first time that I went on a Sunday afternoon and everywhere was closed. And then second time I went on a Saturday afternoon, and it was like the Independence Day weekend, so there weren't much to do. So probably when I go back, I'll go back on a weekday during the daytime. And I also want to go check out maybe one or two of those carpenters, see their handwork. So let me know about this video walkthrough. Do you see yourself maybe checking out Kanasin? You don't have to live here. You don't have to buy here, because buying here, when you think about the property value going up, chances are that you probably won't, unless you buy in the city center area, like in the central part of Kanasin. But if it's like you just want something that affordable for yourself, you're not really concerned about the value going up, because that is gonna be your retirement house where you're gonna stay till the very end, and your kids might take over afterwards. They might want to sell. I wouldn't recommend renting in Kanasin, because the quality of tenants that you might get. So yeah, but definitely, as you can see, there are some real estate opportunities, and there are some new homes being developed, being built just a few kilometers away from Kanasin, but it's sort of considered Kanasin. So Kanasin actually looks very green, although right now it is the rainy season, so that's why you have grass, overgrown grass all over the place, and it doesn't look like the city goes to cut those grass, because in my neighborhood they come once a month to cut the weed on the sidewalk, but it doesn't look like they have such a program right here in Kanasin. Okay, so what else would I like to share? Do I want to share about Kanasin? So there are many neighborhoods. According to Wikipedia, there are many neighborhoods in Kanasin, and I was surprised. And right now we are passing through an hacienda San Pedro Nopat. Well, it's an ex-hacienda. Haciendas are pretty much plantations. So and it might and this hacienda now, it is owned by a private person, right? And so this neighborhood where the hacienda is, it's actually quite nice, quite chill. For me, I wouldn't mind spending some time there, living there, staying there for a while. And also it's close to the highway where this hacienda is. So according to Wikipedia, there are 3 main festivals in Kanasin. December 8th, that's the celebration to honor the Immaculate Conception, so the birth of Jesus. From January 29th to February 2nd, that's the Feast of the Virgin de la Candelaria, so that's the Mary again. And then March, they have Carnival in Kanasin. So that hacienda, so that could be a tourist place to go see in It's Kanasin, but I mean, like, not so much to do there because it is mostly residential. It is mostly residential, but people do go there to check it out for themselves to see, okay, is Kanasin actually as dangerous as people describe it to be? Is it all doom and gloom in this part of the city? And I can attest that it is not. Well, at least for me, I've been twice, and I probably will go back just to go, spend a little bit of time there. So I mean, you can see kids running around. They have schools and such for people, for kids, and everybody look relaxed. They look like they're living their best lives. So I don't see anything really to worry about. So the reputation of Kanasin being the most dangerous, it is changing rapidly, especially since it is attached to Merida, and Merida really wants to conserve their reputation. So let me know what you think about this video, and remember to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. If you are already subscribed, please click on the like button. Ciao.